I'd like to call to order the Graham County Board of Education regular meeting for June 7th, 2022. Mr. Madison, would you lead us in prayer, please, sir?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, God, I just want to thank you for this day, dear Lord. Just thank you for the many blessings, dear God. Thank you for the good school year that we've had, dear Lord. Just pray, dear God, as we go into the summer months, dear Lord, that you would watch over each and every student, dear God. Keep them safe, dear Lord. Just pray for our graduating seniors, dear God, that you would just build a hedge around them, dear Lord. Pray that you would protect them as they go through life, and just pray, dear God, that they would look to you, dear Lord, in faith for the decisions that they have that lay before them, dear God. Just thank you for this board, dear Lord. Just pray that you would be with them today. Help them, dear God, as they make decisions that affect our school system, dear God. I just want to thank you most of all, dear Lord, for your Son, Jesus, for him dying on the cross, dear God, and for the salvation he provides for us. It's in his name that we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we approve the agenda, I have two amendments. One amendment we're going to put in at AA before the principal and director updates. Mr. Moody wants to address the board. And the other one is L, concerns board policies, the do's and don'ts for board members.
Are we making that L?
Yes. Okay. Now, with those two amendments, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Who's presenting that, Mr.
I am. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, now, do I have a motion to approve the prior minutes of May 3rd, 2022?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? The floor is now open for public comment period. Do I hear a motion to close public comment period? So, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, Mr. Moody, you wanted to address the board, please.
Thank you for doing that for me.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, board members, I'm going to include you, Ms. Davis, because I'm going to need your services when this is done. Every year the schools in the state of North Carolina do working condition surveys for teachers. But nobody ever really asked about the working conditions up here at the central office. And so I would like to talk just a minute, and Ms. Knight knows I'm not doing this, but just some of the things that are appalling. The appalling that goes on to this office. Number one, for some reason, she thinks we ought to keep kids first. She works 10, 12 hours a day at minimum. I don't know how many millions of dollars she's brought in for grants. She leaves her office to go teach character education to kindergarten kids. If I'm not mistaken, that was 10 lessons. Which is character ed. She's one of the few superintendents in our state that kept the schools open during the pandemic. She leads by example and wants us to do the same. The most appalling thing she has done is 2 weeks ago she bought this office ice cream and expected us to eat it. But I could go on and on and on, but I have brought somebody here that could do a better job in telling you exactly what kind of superintendent Graham County Schools has. So this is Jan Webster. She is the director of RESA.
And April. April Spencer and I traveled a little ways this morning to present your superintendent, Angie Knight, with the Superintendent of the Year for the Western Region.
Oh, wow.
This award was voted on by her peers in the Western Region, and she will go on to compete against 7 other superintendents from across the state for the North Carolina Superintendent of the Year. And you guys should be very proud. We know all what you've done. These guys know all what you've done. We're very tickled for you. We wish you the best. We know that you will represent our region fabulously in the statewide competition, but congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. No, my kids here too.
We need a picture.
Can we get a picture of me? Sure.
One more thing, all the office chipped in together and bought you a cookie. And afterwards,
And it says Queen.
and afterwards, we do have a reception in honor of her, and all y'all are welcome to.
Oh, that's sweet, y'all.
Thank you so much.
And I didn't really dress up because I thought it's summer. So congratulations.
Well, I know.
And this one's a picture.
Get over there in front of the.
We'll be all right. We can stay.
This one.
I brought my camera just for this occasion.
Oh.
Okay.
Awesome. Congratulations. This has been fun. I'll be honest, Robert has done a great job.
Yeah. Come on. Come on. Take a picture.
Have we not got Kelsey?
No, she's working because she's getting ready to go on vacation.
We notified her, she said,
You want to just join up? You won't have to. You said you just ready to register. I didn't know.
She's not sure you're going to ask for money or something.
Thanks for being here. So, well, you know, I've always got something to say. But I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much. This is quite an honor for my peers, and I work with some amazing superintendents across the state, and in our region is absolutely the best. I wouldn't want to work with any other superintendents. And in our group, we have some very interesting meetings sometimes, and we let our hair hang down, and we just talk the truth. But we're a pretty close-knit group, and it's a big honor to achieve this. And Robert, thank you for what you said, and I appreciate the fact that y'all are not too appalled by the things that we do in this system. But you know, the most important thing after being here 33 years is we've got to keep kids first, and adults will have to come along as best they can. But you know, kids have got to be first, and that's the most important thing we can do, and that's why we're all here. So I appreciate all of you and everybody, the part that everybody's played in this. So thank you so much. I'm very honored. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Moody. Okay, principal and director updates. Mr. Matheson, go ahead and go first.
I don't have a whole lot. Obviously, we had graduation on Friday night. It went really well. We'd like to brag on this year's senior class. We had 49 honor students, the most that we've ever had that I'm aware of. They earned over $2 million in scholarships. That's not including grants and actual school funding for the kids. So $2 million in just scholarships. So there's an amazing group of young people. I know they're going to go be very successful in life, and I think we've prepared them for that. Also, we'll have summer school starting next Monday. We've already started contacting kids that need to be in summer school. We also, at the high school, will have a summer accelerator academy, career academy, that will be started next Monday, and I think Ms. Knight has some workers to get approved for that. But we're excited about that opportunity. It'll last all next week. Several really good field trips, and then partnered with several businesses in the community. Have really been very gracious about allowing us to come into their places of work and do some tours, and even going to maybe get some boys on a bulldozer and a track hoe and give them a little training. So we're excited about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madison, can I ask you something?
Yes.
I had talked to Ms. Knight about this, and I was watching, and I think we're doing some great things. Don't get me wrong. And I know COVID has put a hold on a lot of things, but I wanted to ask you about the high school awards, the class awards. I know we do the academic awards,
Right.
but the individual class awards.
So-
Are you thinking in terms of?
We have not done
I
that
know
because of COVID, but I'd already told some teachers this spring to plan on doing that in the fall when we have our Black Knight Pride Day. We'll start that day with the awards for spring semester, and then any students that were underclassmen that got awards in the fall, they'll be recognized
Because
that
I
day
know-
too.
I know-
Because they can put that on their transcript, and it goes a long way when they go to apply for scholarships and things like that. So we are planning to start that back.
And I think that means a lot to kids, and I think if other kids see kids getting those,
Right.
maybe it will spur them to, because then
I
class
agree.
award, well, I want that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably,
That is the plan.
but don't get me wrong, I think we're doing some great things.
Thank you, Ms. Knowles.
Okay, Tanya?
I'm like Mr. Matheson, I don't have much either. We finished up our testing and was able to reward some of our students. By taking our 8th grade students, we were able to take them to the movie and then bowling and had a pizza party for them. 6th and 7th grade, we were able to go to the movie. The last day of school, we had pizza and shaved ice for all the students. So. And also a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and a lot of students enjoyed that. And we also have report cards that were not picked up that we're mailing out this week. So we have scheduled some professional development for our teachers over the summer. Our math teachers will be spending 2 days in Asheville doing open up resource training. And then all of our teachers, excluding the math teachers, will be doing extreme reading, which is some reading strategies that we'll be implementing in all the classrooms. So they'll be doing that training over the summer. Ms. Knott will be bringing to you a recommendation for an EC teacher position that we need to fill, and also a volunteer to help with middle school boys basketball. And one other thing, I met last Thursday with the furniture company about furniture for the new school. It was very disappointing. We budgeted, I think in the budget there's $75,000 budgeted for furniture for the new addition, and there is nothing elaborate. There's just tables, chairs, and a basic teacher desk in all the classrooms. And they're getting me the price list this week, but roughly it's going to be about $175,000. So,
We did the building, it probably was $75,000.
and that is not including filing cabinets, anything. Fortunately, the whiteboards and those kind of things were in the contract, so we don't have to add those, but that's just basically tables, chairs, and a basic teacher's desk. So that was kind of disappointing. So I'm going to be asking for money. so.
Ms. Walsh, will you talk about what we talked about for the meeting about your awards?
Yes, we also have not had awards the last 2 years. And as I did summative evaluations with the teachers, we talked about that's something we want to implement for next year. I agree, I think it's very important for the academic awards. However, most of my coaches had voted not to do the athletic awards. Right now, most of our coaches have coached in high school, and they feel like that it just kind of sets kids up for high school. And I do feel it's real important that we try not to be a mini high school, that we keep that in perspective, that we are middle school. We will have some more discussion about that, but right now we will implement the academic awards again next year.
Jamie?
At the elementary school right now, we have 71 kindergartners registered for next school year. And with the K-3 class size law, when I get the 73rd kindergartner registered, that's going to require me to have a 5th kindergarten class. I cannot advertise for that 5th kindergarten class until the 73rd kid is registered. So we are 2 kids away. So if you know anybody that knows of a child that's coming to kindergarten that's going to be 5 by August 31st and they've not yet registered, please have them come to the elementary school as soon as possible to fill out that paperwork, because the sooner we get to that number, the easier it is to plan for next school year with class rosters and those types of things. So right now we are 2 kids away. And I'm confident we're going to get to that number, but I would rather get to that number next week rather than the second week of school where I'm pulling kids from other classrooms that they've already been in. So if you know of anyone that has a kindergartner or a child that's eligible, please send them to register. On Monday, June 13th, we start our first, second, and third grade summer Read to Achieve camps. Right now we have 61 students who are registered to attend those camps, and we're excited about that. We have some fun things in store and planned for the kids as well during those reading camps, but we are excited to have that number registered. Again, it's full days, and we hope that can help out parents with childcare and other things too, but also with that summer reading loss of academic skill. We hope that this 3-week reading camp will help us not have so much academic decline over the summer. So we're thrilled to have 61 students that are signed up. And Ms. Knight, I gave you that list of our people for summer camp. I did not include my custodian. Does that need to be on there?
Yes.
Lynette. All right, thank you.
Cte Teacher, Ms. Williams.
Good morning. I'm also on your agenda for the suicidal and self-destructive behavior proposal or protocol. So if it would be okay with all of you, I will just speak during that time.
I apologize. I didn't see that. Ms. Williams.
Good morning. So I went ahead and passed out a handout from what I had requested from the last school board meeting for the out-of-state trips that our camps will be going to. So if I can get approval on those, one of them, our film camp that we're having is going to SCAD, which is the Savannah College of Art and Design in Atlanta. And we're going to tour their facilities, eat lunch in their cafeteria. We're supposed to take a CNN tour if they're available that day, they said. And of course, we couldn't go to Atlanta without visiting the varsity and let them have that experience. Okay? On June 23rd, our H2o Go Camp, which is a water study camp. We have a professor coming from UNC Asheville that's going to assist in that, and Gear Up out of UNCA will be paying for that person. That does not come out of my budget. I'm happy about that part. And we want to take that group to the Lost Sea down in Chattanooga, and they're going to even be able to test that water when they come back. Okay?
I don't mean to correct you, but the Lost Sea is in Sweetwater.
Yes, it's Sweetwater. See, I called them and they did correct me on that when I made the reservation. We had to ask permission to be able to take water to be tested. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Martin. And from there, we'll just have a picnic lunch outside and turn around and come back so we can hit the buses. On June 25th, there's going to be a baseball camp, the 24th and 25th. And afterwards, we want to go to a game in Atlanta and see the Braves. They're going to study probability and statistics of basketball and the physics of it with the hitting and everything. Coach Adam Brooks is going to be leading that camp. I do not have a date for the Braves game at the time, and I'll come back to you about that. It didn't work out. It was supposed to be a game against the Dodgers, and I understand there's some controversy, and Coach Brooks thought it may be best if we waited and planned a different game. On June 29th, we're the space camp that we're having. Would like to go to Young Harris Planetarium, eat in their cafeteria, and go on a tour of their campus. That's in Georgia. July the 28th, our Western North Carolina Rocks group with Misty Show would like to go down to Dahlonega, Georgia, gem mine, go to their gold mine, and we're actually going to pan for gold while we're down there. They're hoping to strike it rich, I've heard you would say. So if it would be okay, I already have the bus driver is Ken Williams, my husband, and he doesn't get much say so in that. I tell him he's going to be my bus driver. That's what he gets for marrying me, right? So if I could get approval for those trips, that'd be wonderful. We really think it's going to be a great experience for the children.
Do I have a motion to
to approve all field trips, June 16th to Atlanta, Georgia, Savannah College in Art and Design. June 23rd, Go Water Study Camp field trip to Sweetwater, Tennessee.
Sweetwater.
The Lost Sea. June 25th, 2022, probability of baseball camp field trip to Atlanta. And they have to get their grease quotient at the varsity. And June 29th, the STEM Space Camp field trip to Young Harris, Georgia's Planetarium. And July the 28th, Western North Carolina Rocks Camp field trip to Dahlonega, Georgia. Do I have a motion to approve these field trips? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Williams. Do you have anything
I
else?
have one more thing I'm very excited about. I found out yesterday. Mainspring, which is a ecology-based grant, okay, that's used, and Need More Outdoors, which is another grant, is going to sponsor 2 days now of our water activities camp with the Knight family. It's normally $300 a student for the 2-day camp, and they have scholarship all 12 of our children to do this study in ecology. They will be snorkeling in the Little Tennessee River and studying the ecology of the area, and I'm really excited. They called me yesterday and said it had been approved. So that's like, yes, for the kids. I'm very proud of that.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
I'm sorry, before you go on, Ms. Knott, do you want me to speak to how we reward kids at the elementary
Well,
school?
if you have anything, I'm not sure what you.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
do
just-
anything, yes.
Okay, so every 9 weeks, we do offer a reward trip for our students at the elementary school, and the way that you earn the reward trip is you do not have more than 3 unexcused absences in a 9 weeks. You do not have more than 3 unexcused tardies or early dismissals in a 9 weeks. You don't have any extreme behaviors in a 9 weeks, and you're passing all of your classes. Because what we feel like at the elementary level is it's those types of behaviors, those student behaviors, being at school on time, staying at school, passing your classes, following those behavioral guidelines. That's what leads to success in middle and high school. So that's the kind of things that we offer rewards for at the elementary. We offer that every 9 weeks. And I always get heat from that. Y'all have heard that also. When students don't earn the reward, people do get upset. But at the same time, all you really have to do is attend and pass your classes and just show us the behavioral expectations that we want from a good student. And we don't expect behavioral perfection. We just expect that students avoid those major behavioral issues to earn a reward trip. Also this year, at the end of the year for 5th grade, we gave 2 rewards for each tested subject, and we gave an academic award for the student who scored the highest state percentile per subject tested, and we also gave an award for the student who showed the most academic growth based on their projections in EBOS to where they actually scored on the test. So we gave those 2 awards to students per every subject tested. And me and Mr. Knott have talked. Next year we want to go back to the principals list, where we publish the kids who make the principals list with their academics each 9 weeks. And then also, I talked with Miss Wendy Upright in the library. We want to reinstate a way to track our readers so that we can have a top reader or a readers club and start rewarding those types of things too. So those are just a few things we do at the elementary
I thought
school.
I saw on social media where a student had been given a reading award, but that might have just been in an individual class.
And individual teachers do different things, but that's just something that I know we've done as, that has been targeted.
I didn't much think you had to say that.
No, well, we don't have a place at the elementary school that we can fit all of our kids in.
I knew you couldn't put 6th grade, so.
Right.
Ms. Moody, do you have anything for us? Okay? All right, have I missed anyone that's not on the agenda? Mr. Mooney, go ahead.
I've actually got a PowerPoint I'd like for y'all to see. Got here lately, we know the tragic events that took place at Texas. The buzz has been about school safety. And I asked Ms. Knott if I could do a presentation just to let y'all know what we are doing as far as school safety. We talked. So I'd like to know that before me, Ms. Knight was the school safety director before me and laid a very good foundation, and has been very well good to work with because she pretty much lets me do whatever I want to do to keep our school safe. So that's what we're going to show you. I want y'all to see what we do, the protocols we have, because kids can't learn if they don't feel safe and if they're hungry. I just want you to know we try to meet those needs. We're top two for sure when there's more. So again, we know what happened there and things that were done or not done. It seems like the story changes every day. There's millions of what ifs, but we operate off what we know and what we are trained to do. We get all the time people, we do this, do that. Well, that sounds good, but you cannot train for every event that takes place. If somebody wants to come in and do what they want to do, we can't stop it. We just got to be prepared for it. Okay, so you need to understand that. There are three main ways to stop a shooter, or at least minimize the impact of one. Number one is build relationships with students and communities so they will inform us of odd behavior. And I think we do a very good job of that. Giving us the heads up is something we can look into and maybe head something off. Number two, shoot them first or as quickly as possible. As you see what unfolded in Texas, our protocols here are if in the event of a school shooter, we stop at nothing and we get to them first and take them out. That's all our purpose is. You cannot do anything until they are eliminated. So please understand that. We will not congregate for 40 minutes outside and try to decide what we're going to do. Have protocols in place to minimize the impact and damage. The following is what we already have in place. Now please keep in mind, as big as buzz this is, there's no state or federal monies for school safety. None. We have to use local money or apply for grants to get what we have. And Angie and Lester has helped me tremendously when I don't have money to get things to keep our kids safe. So please keep that in mind. Number one, we have an SRO on each campus. And I've also asked Jeff Knight to come, who's a deputy for Graham County Schools. He was an SRO prior to them for 19 years. So he knows a lot of these things were set in place while he was here. Just to let you know that we don't have any Tom, Dick, or Harry off the street to protect our kids, I'm going to show you a list of there's awards, certification, and trainings they have taken over the last several years. There's 1 page, 2 page, 3 pages, 4 pages, 5, 6, 7. That's them combined. And they're all voting. I'll let Mr. George here tell you about their advanced SRO certificates that they're working on right now.
So we're working on obtaining our advanced law enforcement certification, North Carolina advanced law enforcement certification, a combination of training points. So training hours and years of experience or years of service. I think Officer Booth should be up for his advanced within the next year. And I also should be up for my advanced within, hopefully by the end of the summer.
So we have well-trained SROs that are paid by the school, not by the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office can dictate an SRO if it's under them. And as you know, sheriff's office has changed, and that's been a lot of problems in other states and schools, but we hire our own and they answer to us. Every year we go to Safe School Conference where we learn more and more, get updated on how to keep schools safer, and we can bring it back and apply it to our school system. Number two, we have a mental health core crisis team, and this was brought up this year and with all the mental health going on, and I can't thank God Angie enough for Leticia and Sonny to help me with this, because mental health is hard to understand for me and to tackle. We have a team in place and a hierarchy of things that need to be done in schools when we see kids are at risk for whatever reason, or are harmful to themselves or others. And once we go through all our protocols, we have counselors, behavioralists, social workers, nurses, and then a mental health liaison. Then we look for areas outside of our school system to get them help and evaluate. And so we identify any possible problems. And once a kid has been sent out to evaluate, we have a reunion plan. We want to know what was said to them, how they were treated. We want to make sure they are safe to come back in our school system. So we have that in place. We have threat assessment teams. There's different ones for different schools, mostly involved with me or SROs and our principals, depending on where it's at. That is, if any kid poses any type of threat that's harmful to others, we jump on it quick and have a team to address that. Okay? We have an academy and day treatment programs. We do have places for kids who need more individualized help, who may be self-harming them or others, and they just need help to get rehabilitated, to get back into main school settings. We do take them to our academy to help with that process. They get more individualized instruction and help. We have a camera system with over 120 cameras easy. We've got even more and more that we're putting in place. And these guys record all times. Just to give you an idea, we've got whatever corner, inside, and out. Elementary campus, everything in white is where we have a camera. That's the high school campus, and where we have a camera. Like I said, we've got several more that we're going to put up on top of that. So those are always good to have, but keep in mind, cameras are only sort of good after the fact. Okay? Unless we see somebody up on campus, we're trying to find them that shouldn't be there, then we can track them through that as well. We have exterior door key fob systems. No one should be in our school unless they have a key, and the only way they get a key is through the SRO officers. And once they use that key, it gives us the time and the person that uses to get in that door at that time, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we have personnel hired every night to go around and check building fronts where there's high traffic of kids for sure. We've got some more we're going to attend this fall, especially even middle school gets up and running. That way somebody can just walk by and look in and see kids. Okay? Or if they're going to shoot, they're going to be shooting blindly. All right? Exterior doors are numbered. And this is to help with other law enforcement, paramedics, or just for us communicating. It's hard to explain where certain doors are at. That way it takes time. Hey, we're at door number 7, or door number 8, or door number 2. We know exactly where that's at, or we can convey that to emergency services that comes on campus to help us out. The doors are numbered inside and out. We have a buzzing system. Unless somebody lets somebody in, every person is supposed to come through one door at each school. And they're supposed to have eyes laid on them to see who they are before they're to come in. Okay, so that is our buzzing system. We have a check-in system. Once they're inside, they go to a computer, type in who they are and why they're there, sub, volunteer, visitor, whatever. And they have to get a badge printed off. We train our teachers. If there's anybody on campus that's not identified, they'll notify us immediately. Yes.
You spoke on the buzzing system. Could you elaborate, like if I walk in or someone walks in the middle school and they're a threat, what is that person supposed to do at the front desk?
Well, we're going to get to that. Okay, and because elementary and middle school, there's actually just a pane glass. They see them, and we all do in a containing area. High school uses cameras because their office is away from their front desk, but we'll get to that in just a second. Check-in system report. Now, this also helps with kids who are tardy or early dismissed. So what happens when we have that information in this computer, and let's say we go into a lockdown, we have to evacuate, the secretary push one button, and it has a printout of who's at school and who's not at that time. So we know who we need to be held accountable for. Remote panic alarms. Okay, if it looks like it's going to be escalating, our secretaries will just, hold on just a second, and they'll notify the principal or SRO. If it's really bad, we have remote panic alarms in several places in our offices. They hit and you go straight to 911. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Gunshot detectors and halos. We have the gunshot detectors with all the main entrances. They do work, don't they, Mr. Matson?
Yes. The door slams do.
The door slams too hard, or they blow balloons. Went off 3 times the other day. Halos are in our bathrooms who detect vaping, drugs, tobacco, any type of altercations in the oxygen level, and loud noises as well. Now, they're not in all the bathrooms, so we're trying them out. But if something happens with loud noise, smoking, vaping, it notifies us, and we go straight to it. Now, this system, we're still in the process of setting it up, and hope to have it up and running before fall takes place. And we're hoping to might help with some of the things in the bathroom. Our biggest problems are the bathrooms. And so we're hoping that if there's fight and bullying, anything goes on loud noises, that will help us with that. We have active defender apps. Every teacher has an app they can pull up on their phone, and if there's an emergency, they can press a button, whether it's a fight, fire, they need help, bad weather, a shooter, whatever. They push a button, it notifies everybody. They're trained to shut down and lock down right then when they are notified. There are some bugs in it. We are working on it. But it is a good app, especially for elementary, the way it's spread out. The elementary is about impossible to defend. We have mirror balls in all the ceilings and at every intersection, so you can see what's coming around the corner. Now, of course, they would use, you might have somebody hiding or doing something or running and running to them. This comes to play when, if we have an active shooter, we can see around the corner, see if somebody's hiding before we go. Okay, that's for the purpose of those. Emergency plans and kits. Each teacher's supposed to have an updated emergency plan, because a lot of stuff's a lot to remember, but we have it all written out for them, and it should be in their teacher desk. Kits are in all the main offices and the sheriff's office, with everything that takes place during an event of a full-scale lockdown and evacuation. So, and those are the SROs update those at the beginning of every year. Okay. We probably have 50, 60 handheld radios on both campuses. We're getting a dozen more. We have several base stations, which are longer range. We have Viper radios, our SROs do, because that's what the Sheriff's Department uses so they can communicate with them. And we have 2 digital repeaters. One's on top of this building to help with communication on radios. The elementary, not only is it laid out horribly, communication is horrible. The speaker system's not good at all, would you say? So there's dead spots. So we put radios out. Well, radios have dead spots. So we spent several $1,000s a grant to put a digital repeater and go digital so we can communicate with one another on this campus. We have these on the buses too now, base stations, and of course every bus has retrofitted with 7 or 8 cameras. But just to let you know how well they work, we had a bus stall out on the drive halfway across 129. We had actually got stopped because of traffic issues. She radioed with Chris, and Chris heard her just like me just talking right now. So they are very effective, and that really helps with our buses who are spread out all over the county every day. One of the best things the school board ever did was let us shut down the walking trail. In red, we had people walking that path continuously, did not, Mr. Massey, about every day.
Throughout that.
And you sometimes very close to our school building. Shutting that down was great. It's not only keeps people off campus, we don't know. But what it also did was our teachers all of a sudden started noticing people that shouldn't be there. Because before it was flooded and nobody paid attention. Now they're actually looking. They don't have a badge or they know to question somebody or let us know if somebody's there that shouldn't be in or out of the building. So that was crucial, and I can't thank y'all enough for that. We do have night lock barricades that we had a random donor, who I can't name, give us $5,000 for this for every classroom. And already there was a school shooting this year where they were used and it was credited for saving lives. This is what they look like. And if you'll just indulge me for a couple, 3 or 4 minutes, you're going to see just how good they are. Maybe.
Door latch activated. Night lock latch in place. Force applied. 5 straight kicks. Mutually support each other. There is no failure. The integrity of the door is maintained and no entry will be made. Door latch activated. Night lock latch in place. Force applied. 7 sledgehammer strikes. maintained and no entries made. Door latch activated, night lock latch in place, force applied, 21 sledgehammer strikes. Each other. The door latch is defeated, but the night lock maintains its integrity. No entry is made. Door latch removed. Night lock latch in place. Force applied. Elegant breaching tool.
Integrity, they get in the door, if they can put those in, they're not getting in that room. Okay, and every room is outfitted with it, and to have, so they're very simple to use. We also have night shades or door shades. Going up at each window, we find out if any school shootings, y'all can interject, and Jeff can say something if he wants to, but you can most have within 5 minutes. If they can't get in the room or see in the room, they can move on down the hall to where they can. Okay, for instance, the Virginia Tech shooting and Parkland shooting. The doors were locked, but people were not in the corner. They could see in and see people, and they shot through the glass. Most times when they cannot see, and thanks to the PTA from the elementary, they have to buy these for each of our doors in our school system. So they're supposed to engage their barricade and let down the shades and get their kids in the corner. We have a grant that got every room stop bleeding kits with tourniquets or the necessary materials to stop any type of bleed. The majority, I don't know what the statistics are, but the majority of people who die in school shootings bleed out, not from the gunshot wound. So we've the training, and we've told everybody if there's anybody that they can help, these are all in each of the classrooms and all the classes. We have a 24-hour tip line that is very, very good and useful. Kids use it from anywhere from mental health issues to tell some other kids that, hey, this kid's vaping, or, hey, this kid's cheating. And it works really well. It's very rarely abused. Occasionally we get a tip on which we can do something better with the chicken in the lunchroom. But other than that, it's good. It works really well. The state has their own version, but we like ours better. And some kids' lives have been saved because of it. But they also have
our version comes straight to us. The state version goes to them, then to us, and that might be too late.
Yes, and then they also decide whether it's worthy or not. We look into every situation, and of course it's completely anonymous, and we look at everything, and it comes to most administrators' phones for us to deal with. And there's also a school app for parents that have our webpage on it, and according to attach that webpage to the tip line so they can use their cell phones as well. So it comes in very handy. The state, over the last few years, has required us to do a school risk management plan, and I didn't bring it with me, but it's a plan that's about 70 pages long for each campus. And it details everything that's in place in case somebody from an outside agency came here that wanted to help. They could pull this plan up online and see the schematics of our school system. And as of right now, we've been working on it for the last couple of years. Only 5% of the state has completed this, and we're one of them. Okay, we've actually done it several months ago. David and Jamie helped me with that. We do in-school training and drills, fire, tornado, earthquake. We do soft and hard lockdowns. Soft lockdowns, you lock your doors and continue to teach until lifted. Hard lockdown it's very serious. And each year we try to do a full evacuation drill, which we've not, due to COVID, has sort of knocked us off center a little bit. But we're going to get back into doing that with local law enforcement agencies next year. And we're going to start practicing more soft and hard lockdowns just because. Because if the biggest thing is, no matter what, if a teacher or staff member can get their kids in a classroom, barricade the door, hit the shake, if they just do that, I mean, the success rate is just, it's unreal. So that's the first thing we teach with all of them. We do drug dog searches randomly, and we do random drug testing with our athletes and our drivers. And we offer free breakfast and lunch to anybody in uniform that will come in and walk our halls. We've done that this time. We've done that for 10 years probably. And trying to encourage anybody in uniform to come in, build relationships with our staff, with our kids, get familiar with our schools, because if you've not been in there much, it gets confusing. High school and elementary both. We want people to be aware. If you're coming in here down the Liaison, be aware where you're going and what's going on. So we do that as well. One thing I cannot do is train for human error. As you know what's going on in Texas, I found this the other day at one of our campuses. We try to tell staff and kids both the importance of do not prop over doors. Do not let people in that you don't know who they are. Do not, we want teachers not to give their badges or keys to anyone, kids or whoever, to get in. So as long as we keep the doors, the perimeters closed and locked, that makes sure everybody has to funnel through one door to get the school system nice and laid out. Okay, so like I said, we're going to go in, we're continually adapting, adding things, trying to make the school as safe as possible, but I want everybody to see the things we have in place that we're trying to do to keep our faculty and our kids safe. Everybody's scared right now. And everybody's finding all these ways, and they're blaming everybody, and I'm not going to get into that. All I tell you is, if it happens, these are the protocols we have in place to keep our kids safe. So, does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Moody, can you not, if somebody's propping the door open, can you not see who's propping it open?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I thought so.
And I hate to get to that point, but if it gets to the point where it's not, doesn't get any better next year, we'll start hiring. So that particular door stayed open from 7:15 until 6 o'clock next week. So, but like I said, I'm just trying to give you an example. We've had several other instances too, but I'm hoping too after this Texas fiasco and what's come about a door being propped open and an interior door being open. If at least one of those doors was locked, the damage would be so much more. We stopped it. But if they can't get in the school, or if they can't get in the classroom, they can't shoot a kid. So that's one thing we're really working on. So
We may get some state and federal money after Texas.
We've not yet, after Parkland and all the other ones.
I know we did.
I want the principal said it's safe, so I want them to feel that their teachers are safe.
I can imagine on this one, years ago, there used to be a safe school budget, like, what, 20 years ago, Chip, maybe?
Did you say that? I talked to the paper too, they didn't show this, they didn't show the PowerPoint.
Did you say that door stayed open all night?
Well, who was
That's what I
supposed
thought
to be
you
going
said.
around?
Yeah, we did address, so I don't want to bring up any names.
But then we have someone checking the doors at night, like at 10
Yes,
o'clock. What
yes,
time
and
is it?
I don't care to talk to y'all about that after the meeting.
Okay. Did I miss anyone? Director, principal? I know I didn't miss principals. Okay. So I'm clear on that. Okay, field trips. And I don't have a name. Ms. Knight?
Are you going to present the HOSA trip? I've got it here.
Is it, I don't remember the dates, June 23rd through the 25th?
It's the 22nd through the 25th.
Okay. Yeah, I've got two actually. So,
Okay.
one field trip is to the HOSA International Competition. We had 6 kids, I think, that qualified to go to that, and it's June 22nd through the 25th in Nashville, Tennessee. And it'll be those 6 kids. Some of those have already graduated, but they've committed to go into this. And our chapter of hosts is also going to be recognized, like they get a merit award at this international competition, and they'll be taken by Andrea Adams and Ramona Sosby. And then the other field trip I have is June 15th, and it will be to Phillips and Jordan's shop and office complex in Knoxville, Tennessee, and that will be part of our Summer Accelerator Career Academy. And that's next week. And Dale Wiggins will be going on that trip. Kent Williams is the bus driver, and I think Letitia is going to go on that trip also. And that's the 2.
Got it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Some more.
Oh, okay.
So these are field trips for the 21st Century Summer Program. There will be a June 14th field trip to Wonderworks in Pigeon Forge with approximately 25 students and 4 chaperones. This is through the Sweetwater Valley program.
And where is it?
It's to Pigeon Forge. Additionally, there would be for the elementary school, going to the planetarium in Young Harris, Georgia on June 28th. For the middle school, going to the Lost Sea, July 15th. Ripley's Aquarium in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, July 13th. And Wonderworks in Pigeon Forge, July 19th.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
You just can read through this, yeah, that's fine. For the high school, Blue Ridge Mountain Food Tours in Blue Ridge, Georgia, July 13th. The Wonderworks, July 18th for Pigeon Forge. July 20th for the Chattanooga Aquarium, and July 22nd for Knoxville Zoo.
Are there any more?
Field trip.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve for the high school the HOSA trip, the international competition in Nashville, Tennessee on the 22nd through the 25th of June?
Yes.
Okay. And then June 15th, the trip to Knoxville, Tennessee for the to tour P&J. Okay. And then the Stacoa Valley Center field trip to Wonderworks in Pigeon Forge on June 14th. Approximately 25 students and 4 chaperones. Robbinsville Elementary School Planetarium to Young Harris, Georgia, June 28th. Approximately 55 students and 11 chaperones going. Robbinsville Middle School, the Lost Sea in Sweetwater, Tennessee, July 15th, approximately 35 students and 5 chaperones. Ripley's Aquarium in Gatlinburg, July 13th, approximately 35 students and 5 chaperones. And Wonderworks in Pigeon Forge, July the 19th, approximately 35 students and 5 chaperones. And the high school, Blue Ridge Mountain Food Tours in Blue Ridge, Georgia, approximately 9 students and 3 chaperones. Wonderworks in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, July the 18th, approximately 11 students and 3 chaperones. Chattanooga Aquarium in Chattanooga, Tennessee, July the 20th, 11 students and 3 chaperones. And the Knoxville Zoo in Knoxville, Tennessee, July the 22nd, 11 students, 3 chaperones. Do I have a motion to approve all of these field trips? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Glad I can read.
We got fuel to go this place.
Okay. Ms. Brackett, wellness policy revision.
Okay, so as part of our Student Health Advisory Council, we are looking at the student wellness policy. We are meeting next week on Wednesday, and as part of that meeting, we're going to be looking at the Appendix 1 to Policy 6140. and just looking at the goals section of this policy and making some changes to that. We feel like some of these goals may be outdated and that we want to add some new things to that. We haven't done it yet, but when we do, we'll bring it back to the board and represent it at that time. That's okay. If you guys want to look at what we have now, that's fine. You want me to submit it now? We haven't really made any changes to it yet.
Maybe just wait.
Just wait.
Changes are made.
Okay.
Maybe represent it on June 28th.
July?
June 28th.
June 28th, okay. All right.
Special call.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Wiggins,
Good morning.
suicidal and self-destructive behavior action protocol.
Yes, so I'm going to give you some information here. Ms. Davis was kind enough to work with me to make the changes that are necessary. As you all know, we are under a state mandate for mental health, and one of the indicators that's spelled out is that we will have a protocol published. Jamie, can I give this to you and you pass it out? There. We will have a protocol published that indicates the action steps that we would take if we have a student on campus who is suicidal. We have also tried to elaborate a little bit more on this policy to say that if they have self-destructive behavior or if they are a perceived threat to others. So portions of this existed many, many years ago, and you can find it under the Safe Schools Manual as policy number 01.19. And essentially what we have done is we've tried to clean that policy up. We've tried to make it more in line with our required school mental health policy. So everything that you see here has been around in some fashion. We've just tried to clean the language up. Is it the board's wishes that I sit here and go through all of these bullets with you, or do you want to take some time just to kind of review those independently?
Do you need this, is this something you need for them to act on today?
You do, and I'll tell you why, because Sunny is required in September to report to the state all of the action items that we have taken. So this is part of one of the action items that's required, is that we have a published protocol. So we need to be able to say by September that that part has been done and has been approved by our school board.
Did it come back to the end of the month meeting?
It could.
It's still like the first reading?
It could. That's fine with me as long as it's signed with Ms. Davis. And Ms. Davis, will you take just a moment and explain to them the conversation that we had yesterday? If you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th bullet, we were talking about the individuals who are qualified to do a mental health assessment or evaluation of a student. And Ms. Davis had some good points that she brought to the table yesterday about a pediatrician. Would you kind of give the board an update of that, please?
In that particular bullet, the protocol just has to show that there's been an evaluation. And one of the items included in the evaluation was pediatrician. That doesn't necessarily require. If you'll look, mental health providers such as a licensed clinical social worker, a licensed clinical counselor, clinical psychologist, all licensed, and as a clinical psychiatrist. And that's what we're looking for in severity. When you look at other areas of the medical field, whether it's a pediatrician or a general practitioner, that's not someone who's trained in clinical evaluation. So we took out other types of medical professions.
And then the only other thing that I would point out to you is that toward the bottom, you will see that we are requiring a re-entry plan. Ms. Sunny is our mental health liaison, and once students are evaluated, once a letter has been drafted that says that that student is safe to be back on our school property or on school grounds, Ms. Sunny then completes what's called a re-entry plan. And that allows us to know what's in that evaluation, what teachers need to be aware of with the student coming back into our school system, and any types of information that's vital or critical for us to monitor. Can you think of, Sunny, anything else that would be beneficial to talk about with re-entry plan?
The only thing that we need to keep in mind is that the parents can refuse to give that paperwork over. So we could initially have a child that we don't really know what the evaluation told, or what was said in the evaluation, because they may refuse to turn that over.
And two situations we've had at the elementary school is the child will come back with a piece of paper that says they're safe to be at school, and they're just on the bus or whatever, and they're there, and then we're scrambling to try to get parents or get in contact with the provider or whatever so that we can make this reentry plan happen. So sometimes the student is back at school and in attendance before we actually can get the reentry plan done. So I think that that's important for y'all to just understand that too. Sometimes it doesn't happen in a clean fashion.
And Jody, that's one of the things that I want us to really work very diligently to make sure that we, to our best ability, have a good protocol for how those meetings need to happen, and that Sunny is our lead person to make sure that we have that consistency across the district. So one of the things that could be easy to do is that a counselor pick that paperwork up, or a social worker pick that paperwork up, or even a principal, and say, okay, I see you're clear here. But at some point in time, the state's going to say to us, how many reentry plans have you completed for your district? We need consistency. And so I feel like that for our sake and for safety purposes, we need one point person, and that needs to be our mental health liaison. We did.
So, and we started this mid part of the school year, and we did 25. I counted them yesterday. So it's a large number of kids that we're sending out, and I think only one of those was a kid that was the same child went twice. The rest of them were all different children.
Is this number 5 bullet been added to this policy that we're talking about?
No. We changed some of the language.
Okay, let me ask you this. The only thing that concerns me, the parent fee has to take the student out of school and complete the mental health evaluation. Has to be completed by these providers, and I do know that it's expensive. And is this going to be a cost to the parent, which I really don't think it should be?
Pam, I can't weigh in on that. I can't answer that question.
I mean, because they're going to charge you.
Yes.
If it's a licensed clinical counselor or a psychologist, and we've got parents that just won't be able to afford because they cost money.
The fortunate thing that we do have is that we have many children who are covered under Medicaid. That doesn't mean that will apply for every student. We have mobile crisis that we can employ to ask for assistance. Sunny, can you give any types of insight as to how far some of these providers could potentially deal?
Well, like you say, the majority of ours are Medicaid, but Blue Cross Blue Shield is a big one in our county, and everybody that I know of is credentialed to do Blue Cross Blue Shield. There's also some companies over in Silva that will do this on a sliding fee scale, so they look at how much money you're actually bringing in, and then we can always call VIA and explain to VIA that we have a student that has no insurance and the copay is going to be too big, and VIA will arrange for somebody to do it.
So there would be some resources right there.
There are resources.
And we can vote on this the 28th when we meet
I
special
think that's
call.
very reasonable if you want to take some time
Yeah,
to look at
because
that.
we need to read over these. Okay. Thank you.
All right, budget amendments, Mr. Green.
The first page of budget amendments are for the state public school fund. First section there is PRC 16. This is the summer reading camps. This is a combination of 2 revisions. The total revenue there for summer reading camps is $34,278, and I budgeted that for summer school tutors and matching benefits. Next section down is a new PRC. This is PRC 62. Small county signing bonus.
The amount there total is $4,306. The issue with this funding is that it is a one-to-one match. If we give this bonus to a qualifying individual, whatever the bonus may be, we have to match that with local dollars. One-to-one match. Next section down is PRC 130 and 131. This is a result of an ABC transfer that I made. The transfer there, let me back up. PRC 130 is for textbooks from the warehouse. PRC 131 is other textbooks and digital resources. We very rarely request textbooks out of the warehouse, but we have the ability to transfer funds from that allotment, PRC 130, into 131 to buy other resources, digital resources, and curriculum, and we've transferred there $90,000. Those funds, for the most part, have been encumbered. Items have been coming in. We still have a couple of orders to receive, but that's a transfer there of $90,000. Next section down is PRC 003, non-instructional support. We received an additional $625 and plan to use that for substitutes at the elementary school. And the next section down is PRC 130. This is state textbooks. This revision came in after the ABC transfer that I made, but we received an additional $7,224, and that's for state textbooks from the warehouse. Probably will transfer those funds next year in the same manner that we just did with tonight. Those funds do get to carry over. Next page, this is a budget amendment as well to the state public school fund. This is PRC 15, School Technology Fund. We received an additional $32, and then we plan to use that for supplies and materials. Just have to add that in. Next page, this is a budget amendment to the local current expense fund. This is Fund 2. This is PRC 835, timber receipts. If you remember early in the year or beginning of the year, I always budget $40,000 because we don't know what the revenue is going to be for this source of funding. The actual revenue that we received last week, and this revenue flows through the county, was $134,999. So I've increased that revenue there, as you can see, by $94,999 to equal the actual revenue that we've received. There are several items here, salaries for school secretaries, custodian salaries, maintenance supplies. There's some central office secretaries, and mostly the rest would be out of utilities like electricity, propane, water, and telephones. The timber receipts is usually a catch-all at the end of the year. We usually, when we've expended our impact aid funds, we've expended our allotment that we receive from the county, this pot of money helps with our local expenditures. Next page, these are budget amendments to the federal fund. First section there is PRC 49. This is for the preschool. We received an additional $6,749 and plan to use that to support the teacher assistant salaries and matching benefits for that program. Next is PRC 60. This is exceptional children. We received an additional $325. Plan to use that for supplies and materials. The rest of the page, we're getting into ESSER funds. And, the first section there is PRC 173. This is ESSER 2, supplemental contracts. These guys, their formulas, we're small fish in the pond. They reduced our funding by $2. Next section down is PRC 176. This is ESSER 2, learning loss funding. This is part of summer school. We received an additional $1,609 and plan to use that for the salary for the summer school teachers. Next section is PRC 177. This is also ESSER 2. This is a summer career accelerator. We received an additional $1,082 and plan to use that for supplies and materials. And then the last section there is PRC 185 IDPA. This is part of the Exceptional Children Program. That source of funding was reduced by $32. We plan to subtract that from the budgeted supplies and materials. Next page is also a budget amendment to the federal fund. This is PRC 163. This is part of the CARES Act. This is simply a budget for the carryover from funds that we received last year. It's $1,554.89, and we've got that budgeted spread out over insurance, supplies, materials, and custodial supplies. And the last page, this is a budget amendment for Fund 8. This is Impact Aid. Fund 8 is where we account for our grants, but this is particular to Impact Aid. We received an actual revenue this year of approximately $619,000. So the original budget was $600,000. So this budget amendment brings the actual revenue and the budget revenue in line. So there are three types of revenue within that impact aid. You've got section 7002, which is for the land section, section 7003B, which is for the students, and then section 7003D is for children with disabilities. Any questions about the budget amendments?
Thank you, Mr. Green. Do I have a motion to approve the budget amendments as presented by Mr. Green? Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Green. Appreciate it.
We're going to talk, when we're going to talk about this, Ms. Knight said that we were going to, she said we were
So Ms. Knott has some questions regarding our retention.
We were going back and forth about the bonus, the $500 bonus. Remember, we were going back and forth with emails. And I was, I guess at the last board meeting, I was trying to figure out where the $500 came from, and that's ESSER funds, right? It's not.
So it's $1,000, it's a retention incentive, and it all came to staff that we were planning to come back each semester.
Did we use retention as our local verbiage, or was that ESSER verbiage?
That is ESSER verbiage.
Okay. Now, we gave $500 at Christmas, correct? Correct?
That was December, yes.
Yes, that's
December,
part
and
one.
then another $500 if you said you were coming back next year.
In May.
Okay. Did we have we had some folks retire mid-year? Did they receive the $500, or was it prorated?
So the way that was given out was the December part one, if you returned in January, because it was to retain you to come back. So you came back one day in January, you were eligible for the bonus. If you retired in May or March, it didn't matter. It was a retention bonus. So if you came back in January, then you were eligible. So everybody that came back in January, if they left January 15th, they still were eligible for the bonus. Everybody that got the second part would be the people that plan to come back in August when school starts, because that's how it was written,
Okay.
that's how it was presented. So if you come back for one day even in the beginning of the school year, then you're eligible for the retention.
Thank you. That's and our back and forth email, we couldn't get that straight. So I understand it now. Okay.
Mr. Buchanan, AIG local plan.
Good morning. I'm going to present to you our revision of our local AIG plan. It should be in your folders there. This is a 3-year rewrite cycle. We approved the last one in June of 2019. Because of circumstances between then and now, the state board left the plan pretty much intact. So they asked us to just rewrite some basic, to correct some verbiage in it on their end, basically on the parent and guardian stuff. But overall, this plan is just a basic carryover of our previous plan, because Like I said, we approved it in 2019 and 2020, which would have been our year actually began implementing it. We were gone. So this plan pretty much carries over and picks up right back where the previous plan was. Like I said, the only small adjustments in it is just some basic wording that the state wanted cleaned up and took care of that. So I present this as our local plan again.
So the state actually did this?
The state gives me 6 standards I have to address when I rewrite this plan. And most of the time they'll take those standards and change them to what they're wanting to see. But they pretty much left our standards the same as the previous plan. So it's just pretty much a carryover.
Can you just off the top of your head pick out one verbiage that maybe they changed?
A lot of, in 2019, a lot of the questions addressed parents. Okay, in 2022, our plan, they asked us to address the verbiage as parents and or guardians.
Okay.
Was the biggest.
So it's a technical change.
It's a technical change, is all they asked us
So
to do.
there's no significant content changes?
No significant content changes. The plan pretty much stayed the same except for that. They want to scrap that verbiage in our local plans.
So really this is just, since we lost a year, it's just kind of pushing
Pretty much,
forward.
yes. It's pushed forward this cycle from the last cycle. So I just ask that you, if you want to take time to look at it there, but have to present this to the State Board of Education by July 15th is my due date. So thank you. That's what I've done. Any questions?
I think if it's nothing more than verbiage, we're not going to get it. Just since it's already been looked at once before.
Do I have a motion to approve the AIG local plan?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Any opposition? All right. Now, Mr. Matheson, CTE local.
So we've been working on the local plan for CTE since about February. I did not make copies for the board. As you can see, it's about 125 or 30 pages long. And Ms. Knight said that was normal not to have copies of this, that it will be available in the high school office if anyone would like to come and take a look at it. But worked very closely with the regional director, Ms. Anna Hare, in making some significant changes to the plan. For instance, part 1 of our plan is performance indicators, and that deals with how CTE programs will be working to help improve test scores throughout the building, such as in English, mathematics, and science. And also it talks about credentialing and different things like that. One of the main changes that we made in the plan as we went through it is in the past, the plan had been totally in a narrative form. And I was directed at the CTE director's training that they would prefer it not be a narrative. So I just want to kind of give you an example that you look at. So what we did is we changed from narrative form to basically a chart where it tells you what you're planning on doing, why you're doing it, how you're going to do it with action steps, who's responsible for those action steps, and then a timeline as to when those action steps would be completed. So actually it's much easier, I think, to read. It'll make the plan a whole lot easier to address in 2 years when we have to do it again. So an example in the performance indicators would be that when we're dealing with English languages, we will provide our CTE teachers opportunity to have professional development and to work with the English department, have those, like the chair of the English department, come into our PLC, Wednesdays, weekly, a couple times, and give them training on how to help teach kids reading in the CTE curriculum and related to it. The second part of the plan was put in place with the Perkins legislation that went into effect in 2020. This is the second time that we've had to do this. It's called a CLNA, and that is a comprehensive local needs assessment. And every 2 years, the CTE department is required to do a comprehensive local needs assessment. And it deals with things like evaluation of performance on CTE, size and scope of your program, retention of teachers, labor market, and what are the needs in the county. And in doing this, we used a lot of different data. We are part of a business advisory council that is part of Clay, Graham, and Cherokee counties. And we meet biannually 2 times a year and talk about the needs in the local area with people from NC Works and the North Carolina Employment Security Commission, different groups like that come in. Tri-County Community College is part of that. And one of the goals that we have set for next year is the other 2 counties, Cherokee and Clay, have a local business advisory council also. So next fall, that's one of the things that we will be trying to incorporate in Graham County, is have our own business advisory council along with the one at Tri-County. Other things that we've done, for instance, under retention, one of the things that we're going to do to try to honor our CTE teachers is starting next year, we will have a CTE Teacher of the Month, where they will have opportunity to be recognized and highlight their program, hopefully in the local news media and also at our school. They'll like set up tables or commons there and try to recruit kids into the program. And it deals with how you're going to basically spend the money that the federal government gives you to support CTE. One of the things, and it addresses all the new programs that we've put in place, and I've spoken to them here at the board meeting before. We'll be having drone technology next year for the first time. Dale Wiggins will be teaching that. We've changed from Microsoft Office. We're still going to offer some of those classes, but we have added Adobe Academy, which is a pathway completer course. So it's, students can get like certification there. It's much better. We've added teaching as a profession. And this week, actually, Crystal White and Tracy McGuire will be going to training down at Meredith College in Raleigh to be trained to teach teaching as a profession. And I talked also about the addition of the agriculture program in the past. Well, we run into a little roadblock with agriculture, and I've worked with Anna Hare on this, and we've consulted with the state. We posted the ag position, and we did not have a candidate that we felt like met the needs that we have, and so we discussed a couple options. One of those options was to put a substitute in the ag classroom for 1 year, because we do have someone in the system that is working on having an ag degree to teach agriculture. And so after Anna consulted with the state, they came back and they said since we were starting a new program, they felt we would be much better served to not hire that position this year. So that's the decision we have made. We're not going to hire an ag teacher this year. It means we will have an open spot. What that means for us is I'll be able to convert 12 months of employment from PRC 13 over through an ABC transfer to PRC 14, and then I can use that money, which will be a fairly large sum of money, to outfit the ag program to have it ready to start the following fall. And I am sure that we will have a viable candidate apply for the position next summer. So the program should be very well stocked. You can say.
Did you say 12? You converted 12 months?
Yes, because an ag teacher is a 12-month position unless that teacher asks for a waiver. It's required by law that ag be 12 months.
Now, why is that?
Because many of the programs that they do throughout, they have livestock maybe on campus, they have crops that they're raising, things like that. They have to have people there year round in order to take care of those things. So ag is required to be 12 months unless there's a waiver applied for. And I think with starting the program from the beginning, I think we need to start at 12 months, to get it going. And part of that would be horticulture, part of it would be animal science, and for horticulture, they can do things like maintain landscaping around the campus and stuff like that. So that's big, I think. Be a big help.
You can't convert that money into.
I can convert that money to be used in PRC 14. The other parts of the plan, there is a local narrative that just kind of sums up how you do this, and this plan has been submitted to the regional director, about 4 different times, and she makes notes, and we go back and make the changes that she asks, and it has basically been approved by her. But it's basically all I'm waiting for is a signature from Mr. Nelson tonight, and resubmit it to Ms. Hare, and she will approve it for next year. I think we've got a good plan that we can work with, and again, I think in 2 years, it'll be much easier to go through this and make the small changes that we need to. Does anybody have any questions? I do need that this does have to be approved. So.
Do I have a motion to approve the CTE local plan as presented by Mr. Mattis?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, Ms. Knight, personnel.
Yes, during closed session, I'll bring you several names of teacher positions for next year, as well as a host of summer worker positions.
In my office person.
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, I've got a whole 2 pages of people.
Mr. White, facilities update. I hope you got good news.
Well, maybe a combination, I guess.
Maybe not.
First of all, in your packet, you should have the notes of the meeting that we had on the 24th of May.
Maybe underneath your folders.
I think I stuck them up underneath your folders.
Oh, that's this.
But as we...
It's under the blue folder, man.
I started saying I was there.
As you look through the packet here, you will notice that the building is looking really good. As we walk through, things are, you can see where things are, the walls are going, the walls, the sheetrock, all that type of stuff's going up. Everything's looking really good. A few things that I wanted to point out on the actual meeting notes. If you look at number 3, item number 3, we're, I guess, supply, demand problems, all that type of stuff. They're having a difficult time getting the darker colored brick. And if you'll notice, like over on the high school, you know, you've got the lighter brick, you've got the darker brick as a accent stripe, I guess, and they're having a difficult time coming or getting that brick to us. And so, you know, of course, you know, during part of the discussion is there's at some point in time we're going to have to make a decision: do we keep waiting, or do we just go on with what we've got? And if that's the case, then, you know, of course, there may not be a stripe on the new building, but, you know, that was discussed.
Give an update. The brick's supposed to be delivered by Thursday.
The brown brick? Great. I had not heard that one. Good. If you look at number 8, I know in Mr. Moody's presentation there, he talked about the walking trail. We did talk about the walking trail again. In the actual plans, the walking trail was designed to come through and actually meet the sidewalk where the building is. And, you know, of course, that would put traffic right beside the windows where classrooms are. Mr. Moody has mentioned it several different times that it would probably be better for that walking trail to go up on the hill, kind of get it away from the building a little bit, and which would also provide a better angle for a camera. You know, so we could run cameras up there and you could get the whole back side of the building on that, where if you have a camera closer to the building, there's going to be spots that are not visible. So that was another thing we discussed. If you flip over, look on number 11. There was a change order that was presented in the meeting, and that change order did add a total net of $21,599 to the construction total. That addition of those funds can be absorbed by the contingency funds. I did make mention, and I think if Scott even put it in there, I did make mention that we're going to be careful with our contingency funds because, you know, that is getting low. I think he has it on there that it's gone. It's not completely gone, but it is getting low. Some of the things that caused this change order over the course of, well, you know, COVID, I guess, the doors for the building have went up over $12,000. The door frames have went up over $12,000. I think I mentioned last time about the intercom system. There was a addition of $15,680 for an upgrade to the intercom system over at the high school campus that will allow the middle school addition to be connected to the intercom system, the existing intercom system. So that'll, I guess, keep us hobbling along for a little while longer. So as far as those go. There were some deductions, of course. I know in the actual plan itself, there were a lot of the doors that were called for key fobs, and so basically, I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe back maybe in March, I mentioned that to you guys as well. But those key fobs themselves were like $2,500 a piece, I believe, was set aside for that. And so by eliminating some of those, just going to regular keys, that saved us some money there. But anyway, when it's all said and done, by the time that you add in the additions and take out the deductions, of course, the total addition to the construction total was $21,599. If you look at the last page of your packet here, you will see that the progress of the building is now at 70% complete. And so you can see the progress of the plan progress with the completion of these ends. And then I think we've mentioned several different times down here at the elementary gym. I think I mentioned once that the bleachers were stuck in Canada, the riots and all that type of stuff. Well, basically, what I've been told, Patrick told me yesterday, that the bleachers are supposed to be here sometime the week of June the 20th. So, hallelujah, those will finally be here and we can start getting those in place. So, any questions for me?
Can I add a couple of things?
Sure.
One of the other concerns with the new building is the sidewalks, because concrete has went up so much, and I think it went up, and since we met on the 24th, it's went up $10 more a square yard in the last week. So they were looking at how we may have to make those not as wide or do something to compensate that. So that's an issue. The other issue is we have had the tile that they put down in the existing middle school hall. It has started like coming up, the glue seeping out, and they had to put a ditch. What was it, Kevin? A water pipe ditch. They had
for the EC classrooms, they put a bathroom in there, and so they ended up taking out part of the hall there and digging out and putting the sewer line up there.
And so what they have come to the conclusion of is that the water is seeping in the building from the planters outside, and so they think that dirt needs to come out of there. And there is no way to put any equipment in there.
So construction on that will begin next week, is that right? I believe.
Okay.
The 13th.
Okay.
We have that, Patrick Nichols has a plan on
That's
that,
awesome.
and, yeah.
Very good.
Just some volunteers are gonna help us on that.
And as far as the walking trail, moving it away from those classrooms, I think that's a great idea for someone who's over there and really enjoys to run the trails, especially in the summer times. That's when I go over there and usually run those trails a lot. If you go up on the bank, that's going to give a little bit of elevation too to the trail that's pretty flat, and so I think that'll be a nice addition for your cross country race. And when you have those things there, we're in the mountains, having a little bit of elevation in your run makes it a little tougher. That's a good thing.
This is my first opportunity to talk to you guys since my surgery. Things went really well, and I appreciate the calls, the texts, the prayers that I know you sent up to me. I feel like a new man. I've not had a single nerve pain since the day of the surgery, and I honestly feel better right now than I probably felt 2 years. So it's sometimes hard to sit back here in these chairs right now, but that's surgical stuff that I'll get over. So, but things went really well, and again, I appreciate all the calls and the texts and the prayers.
Thank you, Mr. White. Ms. Knight, COVID update.
Our state statute, we already discussed whether or not we will continue to be unmasked or masked. This has to do with us this summer because we've got summer school kids coming in. I would recommend that we continue to be mask optional. That is certainly up to the board.
I hear a motion to remain mask optional.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Ms. Davis, board policies.
All right. You have attached to your agenda, we'll look at second reading, and if you don't have any changes, you can approve those. The graduation requirements were changed pursuant to request from the high school, and the drug testing was revised with recommendations from Mr. Moody that is an improvement for that policy. And then student fees, and if you'll drop down to meal charge policy for breakfast and lunch, that should help with Ms. Moody managing the lunchroom, and then community use of facilities, the changes there about inflatables. The school can do it, but otherwise that's unless the insurance is accommodating.
I think it's just a matter of, we're gonna, because we supervise what the school can do, and we would allow it with the appropriate companies, but we will not allow outside agencies that manage facilities to do that, because we can ensure that they'll have the appropriate supervision for the liability issue.
So that's it on second reading. Then on first reading, I put your packets at your desk. 3430 is school improvement plan, and basically when you review this before our next meeting, B is completely revised, and basically it addresses the school-based accountability statute in 115C 105, and so it incorporates the changes to that statute. In addition, it completely revises if there's a special program that's a grade or wants to try, that's permissible, but B explains if there's going to be a deviation from board policy, the steps that need to be taken. And this is to incorporate an innovative idea. And that's what 115C 105 talks about, is if you're innovating new ideas, and it's different from board policy, just the necessary steps to get it approved. And then if you'll go to mandatory components of the plan, H, you must address safety and discipline concerns. And what Mr. Moody presented this morning would certainly take care of safety and discipline issues. The next change is, if you'll go to number 3, it's B3. These are optional components, and if you'll review those, while they're not mandated, some of them, maybe you as a board would want to be part of policy. So they're all optional. And what struck me on the optional part is timeframes are not mandated for the school improvement plan. It is good for 2 years. From the time you approve the plan, the board approves the plan, it's good for 2 years. So but there's no time frames in here about when the next with the next review, what stages are made or created to reconsider the plan. So if you wanted to address timeframes, that you would like to have material before you actually approve the plan.
Are you saying, Ms. Davis, D under 3, that even though that's optional, all are part of that should be included in the plan?
No, not should be, but when you vote when you do the second reading and vote on this, do you want all those optional components? 115C doesn't require 3. Why it's there is that it may be a good place to have it in the improvement school improvement plan. Yeah. So I just wouldn't eliminate them because they're optional, but just to consider each one. Then when you go to C, well, C is completely new. In terms of, there are 3 pages from the old policy that are completely eliminated by the General Assembly. Your school improvement plan required a part 2, and those are no longer mandatory. I mean, not even optional. It's just, it's a good thing. It's part 2 is no longer required, and that would conclude the changes for the school improvement plan. Okay, and the immunization and health requirements. The immunization schedule has been changed. That's A. The biggest change in this policy is what's called de-identified health assessment information. That the school must keep health assessment information without identifying any student. And if any state agency or federal agency needs data, that data can be generated. And I think that's something with, I can work with it, or not necessarily me work with it, but to review this policy with the health services you have at school. You may already have the system set up in your computer where de-identified health information can be generated. Then this policy, there's been an ongoing, I guess, argument in the General Assembly about screening of students for vision, and this policy will hopefully clarify that. But screening for vision is not just if you come in kindergarten, it's for anyone entering school at any age. They come in 8th grade and 10th grade, you still have to have a vision screening. Student sex offender, policy 4260. We struggle with this policy because you have a student who may be identified, but it just tightens up requirements of when you have a student sex offender on campus and the conditions that have to be implemented. 4334, use of unmanned aircraft. Drones are quite popular, and you are not mandated to adopt this policy. The General Assembly said boards can prohibit any drones or drone projects on campus. You did adopt one, but there are significant revisions now, which is the reason this policy is here. But you still have the option not to permit any drones or drone projects.
Well,
we can't do that. We would approve that and follow the policy.
So does this need to be revised in any way?
Well, it's all
it's all been revised, so we're okay?
So, I'm not saying that. I hope we're okay.
We're
teaching the class would fit $10,000 on drones. So.
And our instructors.
As long as the superintendent has approved the project in writing, the drone projects are permissible. The drone drone itself cannot, it has to be less than 55 pounds. If it's 55 or more pounds, and that's why this is about completely rewritten, is that you have to go by FAA guidelines, and there's no school that can meet those. So you cannot have on your campus anything 55 or more pounds.
How much do the drones that y'all purchased weigh?
6 pounds. They're all very
I have to go look that paperwork out.
Yeah.
Look at box.
They're not that kind of.
Oh, okay.
The other, with your drone projects, or if you have permitted anyone to come on campus to be part of the drone project, beginning September 16, 2023, every drone must have identification on its body. And then the maximum ground speed can be no more than 100 miles per hour. The board can lower that. I think that's just the, it can be no more than that. It's capping it. It's capping it. But that's something
Well,
you might want to consider.
who's going to be out there, and how do you measure that, really? So our instructor is already FAA certified, and so he'd be overseeing the programs and the speeds and those kind of things.
So we're good on this?
And then in the superintendent, any drone project is a written approval from the superintendent, and the superintendent must know the flight pattern of the drone.
So just to be honest with you, in the past, we have had some issues with drones on our campus that were roaming. We're roaming, and we're not sure their purpose, and we've had to deal with it, FAA. So I mean, that's why this is written, because now it's a security issue. It's a
Yes, and that's what it is.
Yeah, and that's where it came from. So we have dealt with that. So add that to my list, because I've already been there.
Well, so, I mean, Mr. Matheson in his class, it's just, you're saying the superintendent's required to know where the flight pattern for that class.
When the middle school moves, we'll find you an office space over there. This is nice.
I'll be there.
Okay, an attendance policy. I know that there are specifics that we want in it, and I'll get back with Mr. Moody on those. But the changes here are basically in C, excused absences. And if you'll go to C7, for example, I know that we've had, schools have to address participation in educational opportunities. There's been some issues with that, what you call an educational opportunity, but the state board is requiring that number 7 be included in excused absences, but I'll get with Mr. Moody on that. You can firm it up, it's just that it cannot be deleted. Then number 6 is required about religious holidays, but again, while it's required, you can still firm it up and about implementing it and how it's authorized. And again, the attendance policy changes address board approval of any excuses where there's a state health issue or local control measures needed for isolation or quarantine. But that requires board approval for absences anything other than what's defined under C.
One question about this, principals, when a student must miss school, a written excuse signed by parent or guardian must be presented to the student's teacher on the day the student returns after the absence. Do we
same parent letters with no
This is in our policy.
with no
This is the same recommended policy that we're looking at.
Yeah, these are changes that are required. We have other, we'll make this comport with what we have.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just looking at.
This is your first reading.
I knew it was our first reading, so.
And I'll get with Rob for those, and that concludes that.
Do I have a motion to approve the second readings, policy 3460, graduation requirements, policy 4326, student random drug testing for athletes and campus parking students, policy 4600, student fees, policy 5030, community use of facilities, and policy 6240, meal charge policy, breakfast and lunch. Do I have a motion to approve those? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the last item is the do and don'ts for the board. I was going through some of my old stuff from several years ago, and this is for all board members, including myself. Do's and don'ts for board members based on the Code of Ethics. There's 10 of them, and I want to read them, and if you have any questions, address them to somebody else besides me. Do uphold and enforce all laws, state board rules and regulations, court orders, and local board policy when making decisions. Don't bend the rules, ask others to bend the rules, or think that you can accomplish anything as an individual that compromises the legal guidelines established by the board. Do make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing. Do not base your decisions on special interest agendas or on what is best for your own child. Number 3, do confine your actions to policy making, planning, and appraisal. Do not become involved in the administration, organization, or implementation of the policy and the goals. That's the role of the professional educators. Number 4, do understand that your responsibility is to work as a board to see that schools are run well. Do not think that your role is to be involved in the day-to-day running of the schools. That is the administrator's job. Number 5, do understand that only the full board has the right to make decisions. Do not make personal promises nor take any private action which may compromise the board. Number 6, do make decisions based on district goals and policies. Don't be swayed by special interest or partisan political groups. Number 7, do insist that the board keep the community informed on the progress and needs of the district. Do not discuss confidential matters with anyone but the board. Number 8, do consider the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer on all matters pertaining to education. Do not undermine the decision of the board. And number 9, do support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties. Do not violate the chain of command or publicly criticize staff members. And lastly, do refer all complaints to the superintendent. Do not make any promises to help or act on citizen complaints until they reach the board level after failure of an administrative solution. Now these are things that we as a board are supposed to do and not do. So our job is to make decisions, to listen to the community, to listen to the board policies, to listen to all of this, and then make a decision as a board. We as a board, we are actually one sitting up here. It's kind of like a basketball team with 5. They are all going for one goal. Okay? And that's what we are supposed to be doing. And I thank you for listening. And all the board members need to adhere to this, including myself. Thank you very much.
Chair, may I add that on this code of ethics, the boards, you'll actually sign the code of ethics the first of the year. It will be time to do that again, and it's sent to the state of North Carolina, because these are all requirements in the first part of Chapter 115C.
Okay.
So it's a good reminder, and then again, we'll address it, because I'll have to get it signed by each individual board member.
Okay.
And send it to the state.
Okay. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Pursuant to the provisions of the North Carolina General Statute 143-118.11, parentheses A, parentheses C, and 143-318.11, parentheses C, I move the Graham County Board of Education go into closed session to receive advice from Ms. Ellen Davis, the attorney for Graham County's Board of Education, which advice comes within the purview of the attorney-client privilege. The advice will be the general legal advice about legal issues or legal matters. Pursuant to the provision of North Carolina Statute 143-318.11, parentheses C, I move that the Graham County Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of considering personnel matters as defined in and allowed by North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, parentheses A, parentheses 6, and the North Carolina General Statute 115C-321.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we are now in closed. Okay, we are now in open session. Personnel. Ms. Knight.
Yes, I recommend that you employ Ashley Satterfield in the position of elementary school teacher.
Do I have a motion to approve Ashley Satterfield for
So
RES teacher?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
I recommend that you employ Gracie York Toomey in the position of elementary exceptional children teacher.
Do I have a motion to approve Gracie York Toomey as the exceptional teacher, exceptional children teacher in RES?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
I recommend that you employ Brittany Snyder in the position of middle school EC teacher.
Do I have a motion to approve Brittany Snyder as middle school EC teacher?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
I recommend that you employ Anna Stewart in the position of high school EC teacher.
Do I have a motion to approve Anna Stewart as high school EC teacher?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Go ahead.
I recommend David Haney as varsity wrestling coach.
Do I have a motion to approve David Haney as the varsity wrestling coach?
Approved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
I recommend that you approve Katie Griffin as the elementary office receptionist.
Do I have a motion to approve Katie Griffin as the elementary school receptionist?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
I recommend that you approve the following volunteers: Todd Odom, Matt Cox, and Zane Wachacha.
Do I have a motion to approve as volunteers Todd Odom, Matt Cox, and Zane Wachacha?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I recommend that you approve as a student worker for the summer for the bus garage, David Lovingood.
Do I have a motion to approve David Lovingood as the summer student worker at the bus garage?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
And Ms. Beasley, I've given you, I've flipped over a list on your, so the rest of this you have. And I sent it to you electronically as well, so you can just cut and paste. So for the rest of it, I would just like to recommend the host of summer workers for the following positions.
Okay.
Summer bus drivers, read to achieve camp workers, 21st century workers at the elementary, middle, and high school, Summer Bridge Academy instructor, the Summer Career Accelerator Academy at the high school, and Gear Up Summer Camp. So there will be a list, there's a huge list of employees, and none of those are people that are outside the system. All those are existing employees coming back to work in summer capacity.
Do I have a motion to approve all of these summer workers, bus drivers, Read to Achieve, 21st century workers, and Summer Bridge Academy and Gear Up summer camps? Do I have a motion to approve these?
Approved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? You have anything else? Okay. Announcements, Ms. Knight.
So the next Board of Education meeting will be a special call meeting for the primary purpose of closing the fiscal year, and that will be on June 28th at 10 a.m. And I would like for the board to consider the date of the July board meeting. We wouldn't typically need to have it the very next week after that, which is the week of the 4th. I would recommend to you that the July board meeting be held on July 19th.
Is that a Tuesday?
It is.
The next Tuesday?
Well, it would be 3 weeks after the 28th. Just because we've got the 4th of July in there, and then that would give us sufficient time to interview if we need to for positions. And I would also say if we do not have any more business, then we wouldn't, I would cancel the meeting.
What date?
July the
19th at 10 a.m.
It's a Tuesday. Yes. Yes.
Do you need to vote on that date? Or just?
Do I have a motion, excuse me, to approve the July 19th, 2022 for the special call board meeting, if necessary? So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
And then that should put us back on schedule for the August.
Okay.
I'll be on
I'll call.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be. He's gonna call.
That's all I have. I think there's actually cake if it's.
There's cake and milkshakes. It was ice cream.
Very good. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Do I have a second? All in favor?